What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and once again, we're here to answer your questions in another episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. This is what Brady W. Hickman did. He asked, are there Chaos Space Marine chapters devoted to two of the gods like Slaanesh and Tzeentch at the same time without being counted as undivided? Not in the lore. Like, there's no Space Marine person that I think is like that.
Yeah, there's really no double dipping when it comes to chaos.
However, I don't think that means that you can't do it. I think it would be really cool if you can combine a Noise Marine and like a Plague Marine, or a Noise Marine and what are they called? The Tzeentch guys,
Rubric Marines.
Rubric Marines.
Yeah, because just thinking of having the powers of two chaos gods is really badass. Imagine being as powerful as a Khorne demon in close combat, but still be able to fire off like warp lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah. The closest this has ever gotten lore-wise would probably be Be'lakor. He was the first demon prince. Yeah, first demon prince, and he actually tricked all four of the chaos gods to bless him with their power. For some reason, he's not as like pertinent in the lore. He's very different than most other demon princes in terms of looks. He's more of like the classic quote-unquote like devil of what you might imagine. But yeah, his lore is pretty cool. He's like shaped thousands of ancient civilizations, and he's had like relics and statues made in his image. Even some Adeptus Mechanicus have like undergone like massive journeys to try to uncover who exactly is Be'lakor. So somebody that has the power of multiple chaos gods is, or should be, really important in the lore. But yeah, we haven't heard of anybody having more than just one chaos god being their patron.
Yeah. And Undivided is just basically like, well, they're renegades.
Yeah, they don't really follow any chaos god. They just do chaos things.
Yeah.
Like as the Iron Warriors, they're probably one of the most well-known just renegade. Or not even renegades. They're still chaos, but they don't pertain to a specific god.
Yep. Good question.
Yeah. Do you guys wish that was a thing or no? Like, if there were like cross, kind of like in Magic the Gathering where you have like blue black and white green, like different combinations, would you want to see something like that?
I definitely would.
It's interesting to see how that would work, because oftentimes the motives of the chaos gods differ. Where it's like Khorne wants you to go out there and collect skulls, Nurgle's gonna want you not to kill them, but to just turn them into a zombie or something. So now you're stuck between a rock and a hard place as to which god do you please.
Yeah.
Slaanesh, you just eat them out.
Eat them all.
Mm-hmm.
Next question.
This one is by Din Tran. If the Chaos Gods combined, what would be the best representation of a twisted version of the Emperor? The Emperor who bleeds perfection and knowledge. He saves others from despair in a way, and that he also sends his Marines to do crusades. So, does the Emperor empower Chaos Gods in that way? So, two questions here. First one, would we want to see a fusion of all the Chaos Gods to become something entirely different to rival the Emperor? And two, do you think the Emperor is fueling the Chaos Gods?
So for the first part, I don't think that would be a good idea. I think the fact that there are very different, or well, the four different Chaos Gods give you flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like just having a bad guy and a good guy, it's like, that's not cool. What do you think?
Definitely. Having multiple shades of gray is better than just black and white.
Yeah.
It has more personality, more avenues to explore. Yeah. If they ever did combine, it would literally have to be like the end of 40k lore-wise, where the Emperor battles this new chaos entity, and then that's it. Like, I don't want to see anything after that.
Yeah. And then is the Emperor empowering the Chaos Gods?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a whole mystery behind like the Emperor actually making a deal with Chaos, and that's why the Primarchs were scattered and some of them fell to Chaos. that was all just this big deal. And in that way, yes, for sure, the Emperor has been fueling chaos because of that. Not just that, but like humanity. He could have easily told humanity about chaos. Like, hey, there's a thing out there that's going to try and like sway you and make you their devotees. You know, don't listen to that. Like, but no, he didn't do any of that. So, in a way, yeah, he is kind of to blame. But at the same time, he kind of did want chaos or humans to do their own thing. And some will stray to chaos.
Yep. Next question comes from Falcon Punchology. Would you rather be permanently cast into the warp, be the only survivor of a Tyranid invasion, or be turned into a servitor? What would you?
I feel like I would go for the warp, but like no matter what, you're either gonna die, become insane, or become a devotee to chaos and probably die anyway.
I do think though that there is hope within the warp, whereas like you were saying, like you could become a devotee, like you're in there and like demons are trying to like rip you apart, but one of the chaos gods gives you some type of boon or like throws pity your way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's opportunity with that. If you become a servitor,
That's it.
Yeah, you're lobotomized. And then the only survivor of a Tyranid invasion is not good. It has happened to Imperial citizens before, and then what ends up happening is they just get experimented on by the Adeptus biologists, I think they're called.
Mm-hmm. Either that or you just die because there's no life to sustain. Like the atmosphere is gone. You can't eat anything because anything that's meat is, done away with. Same with vegetation.
And your family, friends, life is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely the warp would be the better option out of the three.
Even though they're all pretty bad.
Yeah.
This one's by Nathan. Just Nathan. So the warp is used for travel, as it bends space and significantly shortens the distance and time spent traveling across the galaxy. But as you say, there is no time in the warp. It may even flow in reverse. 1 minute in the warp could actually be 2,000 in real space, or the opposite. So, my point is, how can the warp be used to shorten travel in real space if you have no idea what will happen when you enter it?
So those are extremes.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, like, there are warp routes that you can take that are relatively safe.
Yeah. Not just that, but Geller fields.
Yeah.
really help.
So you basically have a bubble around you. You'll have the Astronomicon guiding you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you enter. I'm trying to think. Like, can you compare it to a highway? Like
somewhat.
It's like basically it's the difference between you going on a road trip with a GPS, which is the Astronomicon,
or the
navigator,
the
all that kind
Astropath,
of stuff,
yeah.
or going into it like without it. Even with a GPS, you could still get lost, which is what we mean. Like you go into it with a navigator with the Astronomicon, but you end up somewhere else. Whereas like if you're just to do the road trip on your own, then obviously you really have to be a good navigator.
Yeah. Or you could be like the Tau and drive blindfold.
And then you kill all of your auxiliaries.
You go insane in the membrane.
Insane in the brain. Next question. You go?
No, we already covered that one.
This one's by Din Tran. If you can retcon something from the current 40K, what would it be?
I think the Crone swords for the Eldar. Because they're like pretty powerful weapons that apparently came from the knuckles of a god. But the way they've used it hasn't really had much meaning. Like the Spear of Twilight that Prince Yariel uses, that's pretty cool. That could stay. However, the other swords, I feel that they could be used more in a way to tie the lore of the Eldar with other races, such as maybe having Farsight's Dawnblade be a Crone sword, and that will be a means to have the Eldar interact with the Tau. Maybe there's a Chaos Demon sword that was at one time a crone sword, but then a demon came in and became possessed by it, and now that's another storyline to explore. So I wish that I could have done more with that instead of just saying like, oh, they went into the what is it, the Black Library, and that's where they found it. They could have done a little bit more with that.
Yeah. I wish we could just retcon Harlequins being a faction. Like, they shouldn't have their own faction. I think Harlequins should have just been a part of Craftworld as just like an auxiliary force.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, we should have gotten the Dark Mechanicus.
Definitely. Yeah.
I think the Dark Mechanicus would have been more fun.
Yeah, I've always wanted a Dark Mechanicus like models because they're so awesome. Closest thing is probably the AdMech stuff on Forge World, but even then you'd have to like kit bash to make it look more chaotic-y.
Yeah.
Because like the Skitarii stuff, that's different.
Mm-hmm. It's more steampunky.
Yeah. This next one is by Colin in Texas. Will the Necrons ever get a Titanic model? Because all the little guys in the world are going to get vaped when a single solar cannon is fired.
The Necrons?
Yeah.
They have the construct.
Yeah, they have that one construct, but I don't think it's like a Titanic model. It's strong, but like when you compare it to like Titans and like Bio Titans and stuff like that, it's, yeah. Because I think you'd have to use that Necron construct plus those like C-beam cannons to actually deal with Titans. Or what they could do is instead of like actually having like a Necron construct be a Titanic model, have an Uncharted Catan. So then you have something that's like akin to like the power of a god taking on, Titans. That makes a little bit more sense.
And then on the tabletop, it could just be you painted blue.
Yeah. Mr. Manhattan cosplay.
This question comes from Lord Devilfish. Would you watch a remake of Shrek, but with Nurgle as Shrek and Isha as Fiona?
That's great.
Definitely.
Yeah. Hands down.
For sure.
I wonder what a donkey would be.
Oh, botfly? Or what are they called? Rotflies?
Rotflies.
Or Mortarion.
No, there you go.
Mortarion.
But still with Eddie Murphy's voice.
Yeah, for sure. Next question.
This one is by Hayden Matoto. When the High Lords of Terra or the Inquisition label a Space Marine chapter renegade, what happens to those that are still loyal within this chapter? Do they go into the Death Watch or are they killed as well? Could an Inquisitor have... Okay, so that's the first question.
What was it again?
What happens when a Space Marine chapter is labeled a Traitorus?
Oh, okay.
What happens to like the loyalist Space Marines within that chapter? They're killed. If they label a chapter traitor, they don't want to have any like chances of these traitors going out and doing more ruckus. So yeah, it's complete obliteration, no questions asked of the Space Marines within there.
Which is kind of like because like let's say you have a chapter and like half of them are good, half of them are bad, and the bad chapter or the bad guys go into the warp to escape, and then the good guys are left. The Imperium's probably gonna like fire on them or like try to kill them because at the end of the day they're Space Marines. They can still like rip you apart. And it's one of those. It's like they were loyal, but now the Imperium is hurting them, so now they're gonna become renegade, and eventually, because they need resources, they're gonna have to turn to the Chaos Gods.
Yeah, and not just that, they're gonna be like, well, if half of the people who have the same gene seed turned, then we can't keep using this gene seed because it's gonna turn more.
Yeah, and then they're gonna be like, look, like the Imperium is gonna fire on them. They're gonna fire back, and they'd be like, look, they're firing at us.
Yeah,
proves it's proof.
That happened word for word when the Adeptus Custodes fired on the Brazen Drakes Primaris chapter, and this was just rumors. They literally just heard rumors of a Primaris chapter going renegade, and the Adeptus Custodi was like, oh, it's you guys, isn't it? And he's like, no, we haven't done anything, and then Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The struggle
is real. And his second part to his question, could an Inquisitor have a permanent Space Marine bodyguard?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. He would be a member of the Death Watch.
Yeah, I guess so. The Minotaurs kind of act as a bodyguard to the High Lords
Yep.
because they listen to everything they say. Rumor even has it that their chapter master, Asterion Moloch,
Mm-hmm.
he might not even be a full space marine. It might be like a robot, or it might be like brainwashing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because there's like instances of the chapter master like having life-threatening injuries, and then like the next day he comes back fully healed with like as if nothing ever happened.
Necrodermis.
Or it could just be like another space marine taking on the mantle and the name of the chapter master.
Because he doesn't take off his helmet?
For the most part, yeah.
Hmm.
But even then, most space marines kind of look similar.
So last week, we asked you guys, or you guys asked us, like, what it would be like if we got stuck in the warp. And somebody, Ronnie Doe, put, oh, no, my bad. Wartsui put, getting stuck in the warp. What are you doing, Step Demon? And I thought that was amazing. You guys are hilarious. Probably the best comment of 2020.
That comment is what we needed.
Next question.
This one's by Kyle Ellis. If you were in charge of a new hive fleet, what would be the 4 traits that you would try to absorb first? And which race would you go to get to these traits?
That's a very philosophical question.
Mm-hmm. Because if you're a hive fleet, you're trying to get all that mass. And in order to do that, you have to get there quickly, efficiently, take out all threats, and survive.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things to think about. But I think I would definitely go for another hive fleet. Take out the threat before they take out your food. Incorporate their traits into yours and then progress.
That's a really good idea. What traits would you want?
When it comes to Tyranids, I think getting more gene stealers would be a huge benefit because they're like the sleeper agents, and you could send them out to scout, and they'll kind of let you know, hey, we've infiltrated, there's a cult here, come get this biomass. So definitely go for a hive fleet that has a lot of gene stealers. I like the Yamgara ones because of the tentacles, so I'll go for that.
Sweet. I would want speed, power, and that's pretty much it, I guess.
So you'd go for Homelander.
Homelander. Take him out. I would. I would consume the orcs.
Yeah, that seems like a good one.
Mm-hmm. It just seems like power, and then just like the brutality of not giving a fuck and just fighting.
But then you'll stall yourself eternally in the Octavia sector.
Right. That is the big dilemma.
But once you get through that, then what's gonna stop you?
Probably GW never writing any lore.
That's your only downside.
Next question.
This one's by Din Tran. If you could Raycon something from 40K, what would it be?
Oh, we kind of talked about this. Well, it was the same question.
Oh, okay, yeah. You said recon, but I think you meant Ratcon.
Retcon, yeah.
Yeah.
We already answered that one too. Do you have any more?
Yeah, we'll go with this one. Nick Jared. Are there any loyal Emperor's children currently? And when do you think they will be getting a codex? So the Emperor's children... Yeah. The Emperor's children probably won't be getting a codex anytime soon because they're just kind of thrown in with like the goop that is Chaos Space Marines. The only ones that do have a codex are the Death Guard and the Thousand Sons.
Yep.
And
Khorne doesn't even have, or they used to, right?
Yeah, they used to. But yeah.
That's the big struggle with Noise Marines, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, even when they do come out with a model for the Noise Marines, it's kind of like gimmicky. It's like a guy in a guitar.
Yeah.
Or a Space Marine with a guitar. They're missing. They're missing a lot.
Yeah, they could easily do some pretty cool sculpts with like Doom Sirens. And they have a really old school model for like a dreadnought that like shoots out like sound waves and stuff.
Yep.
Because it's really cool because like these sound waves freaking rupture internal organs and make you bleed from like all your orifices. So it's like they could get pretty brutal with chaos instead of it making it like a dude with a guitar.
Yep.
But classic 40K.
Yeah.
In terms of loyalist Emperor's children that are still alive, I think there's a few. But for the most part, again, like if your whole legion is viewed as like traitor, it's really difficult to come out of that stigma. I mean, look at the Dark Angels. You've got a whole bunch of traitors amidst your ranks, and it's like those loyalists are trying really hard to hunt them down to showcase that, hey, yeah, we're the Dark Angels. We're like the first Space Marine chapter created, or at least on the battlefield. Like, we can handle what's going on. We're the good guys, you know, we assure you. We still fight for the Lion and the Emperor. And they're showcasing this with like the Watchers in the Dark, and you got Cypher running around, so...
You should check out our 40 facts on Rylanor. He's an Emperor's Children that never went traitor. I mean, his story is just pretty badass just because he almost killed Fulgrim.
Yeah, almost.
Almost. So check that out. But yeah.
And that's probably as far as anybody killing a Primarch will be. Almost.
Almost, yeah. Unless... No, yeah. Yeah.
The only way I see a Primarch dying if it's like another Primarch killing him.
Right. Resurrections, though. We're going to see that. If those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you for sending those questions our way. And, yeah.
We'll see you guys in the next one. This is The Sound Alchemist.
Kirsch 1.
And we are out.